Hey, what's up, Fantasy Football Talk? My name's Angelo. I am a new member of your page. See, a lot of you guys are creating your own content, so I just wanted to chip in tonight and get to know everyone and just kind of introduce myself a little bit. So I'm going to do a 12-team half PPR mock here. I'm going to use a receiver first heavy strategy using my first three picks for receivers and see where we wind up. It's probably only one of my first mocks this year using that approach. I like to use a handful of different approaches and see where we wind up. So we have our pick of the litter here. I am going to go with DeAndre Hopkins first. He was in my opinion, the best wide receiver last year. There were some other great ones. I wound up with a stud crew of wide receivers last year in my keeper, with DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Tyreek Hill. But pound for pound, out of the big boys, OBJ, DeAndre, and Antonio Brown, he was on top last year. And speaking of, we find ourselves with the chance to grab Antonio Brown here and Mike Evans. I do think I'm going to go ahead and take Antonio Brown here. I think the upside there is just too good. It's Antonio Brown. I mean, he's still wound up even on a down year, only a couple points behind, at least in the one league that I looked in that I was in last year when I was comparing receivers. So we're starting it out with DeAndre Hopkins and Antonio Brown. I really do like Mike Evans here. I wind up with him in the other couple drafts that I did like this as my second receiver, and I was not mad about it whatsoever. Let's see here. We have Mike Evans went right after, sure enough. Oh, wow. James Conner fell a little bit compared to where I've seen him in drafts. David Johnson's still going kind of early for me, in my opinion. I feel like that's one player that'll probably be closer to the back end of the first round, but who knows? I love everything that's happening in Arizona, and I think that Kyler Murray is a great late round quarterback, but that offensive line just hasn't been addressed enough, in my opinion, and I don't want to risk it. Not with a fifth overall pick. I would rather have Melvin Gordon over David Johnson. I would have my pick of the litter with receivers before I would pick David Johnson. Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, I'm probably taking them before David Johnson this year, just in my opinion. All right, so here we go. Third pick up. There are four receivers that are staring me down. I'm going to talk about them real quick. A.J. Green, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Julian Edelman. I love Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, and Julian Edelman. I like Diggs and Edelman consistency-wise a little bit because you know they're going to get their targets there. Less mouths to feed, but Amari Cooper is the ignition in Dallas, and him and Dak have a great rapport. And quite frankly, I think A.J. Green's time at the top receiver position in Cincinnati is over. I think Tyler Boyd, pound for where you're drafting him, Tyler Boyd is the guy that you want. I'm not saying that A.J. Green's going to be a complete dumpster fire this year, but he's getting older, and the targets were there for Boyd last year. I don't know if you can hear my dogs, but my wife must be home from work, so if you hear them, I apologize. Robert Woods off the board. Love Robert Woods. But I liked him last year a lot better when we were drafting him later in rounds. We are up now, and we are at the running back portion of our show. Well, let's see here. Tight ends. Your top three tight ends are gone. I like the quarterbacks that are there, but I don't know if I want to reach. The running back position has been decimated. Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake, David Montgomery. I am going to go with Chris Carson. I don't love any of these picks here as like a clear-cut number one, but Seattle does run the ball quite a lot, and if Chris Carson is the guy, he will be getting a ton of touches, 250 to 300 carries, and he's going to find the end zone. He is a guy that I might be handcuffing, though, a little bit later on with Rashard Penny, just because Penny was drafted kind of high. He did have some injury concerns, but he was the guy in camp last year. Chris Carson kind of snuck his way in there, and Seattle always runs the ball. They stick to it. That is their game. So Julian Edelman goes right after Chris Carson, who I love him. He is the GOAT to go to, and who else is really on that team? I know they drafted a rookie, but Ah, man, David Montgomery goes off the board. He's a pick that I really like here, especially with this strategy. Chicago's a high potent offense, and you know that they're going to get, you know that he's going to get touches. He's another one of those rookies. Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery are two guys that I really, really like this year as far as rookie running backs go. And you know that the last few years, there's always been a rookie running back that is coming out of nowhere and going ahead and taking a top 5 running back position. So we have Cooper Kupp off the board. Rodgers is finally gone. Let's see what we're left here. We're left with Kenyon Drake, Tariq Cohen, Darius Geis. Let me know how you guys feel about Darius Geis. I'm curious. I know that he was high in Washington last year before the injury, but another year removed. Adrian Peterson kind of comes out from the grave. With this pick here, I really like Kenyon Drake. I really like Tariq Cohen. Kenyon Drake doesn't catch the ball as much, but Tariq Cohen doesn't get the opportunity to stay on the field as much. And I do like Ballage, but I don't think he's going to cut in to Drake's running like Cohen's going to cut into Montgomery's as far as the touches go. So I'm going to go ahead, Kenyon Drake here. So basically our team is shaping up to look like DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake. So we're going to go running back here a couple more times. I do actually like the James White pick if he sticks there. PPR league up, and he's gone as soon as I say his name, and he's going to disappear. Right before 2 picks before me, and Lamar Miller's gone as well. Tevin Coleman in San Francisco. I do actually kind of like that pick. I think he's going to resume his role, maybe a little bit better. I know there's some other mouths to feed there, but he's the only change of pace back guy in that setup. And there are a couple other running backs here. I'm just going to go ahead and take my peek at my quarterbacks and take my peeks at my tight ends. You know what? I do like Evan Ingram this year, and somebody has to score some points in New York besides Saquon Barkley. And I don't think that Tate is the target that they're looking for. I think he's a little bit older. Shepard's a little bit injury prone. I think there's going to be a lot of situations where Evan Ingram can really come in here. I know that running backs are going a little thin here, but there are some guys a little bit later. Sometimes I find it a little bit easier just to thin the herd and pick the positions that maybe aren't as deep as running back or receiver. Tight end, I usually don't do anything before the 6th, and quarterback, pretty much the same here. Let's just take a peek. Yeah, there's still some high-end quarterbacks there. I'm probably not going to go quarterback until about the 9th or 10th round. I'm going to go back into my running back position and see what we have. We have Latavius Murray there. I actually kind of like that pick. I think he's going to take over that Ingram role. He's going to do just enough, and he's not going to have he's going to know his role, in my opinion anyway. I think he's going to know his role, and I think he could wind up with like 8 touchdowns, 800 yards, just a nice situational guy to put in. But there are some other guys on this lineup here that I really like. Speaking of rookie running backs, that I just feel like they don't get drafted very early anymore, but there's a lot of quality guys that get drafted in the NFL draft in the 2nd to 4th, 5th, 6th round. Usually 2nd or 4th, it's looked like that. These guys are beasts. So I kind of like Miles Sanders here. I like Rashad Penny. I don't hate Kareem Hunt. You know what? I say that out loud. I think Kareem Hunt falls, but I really like Miles Sanders here. I'm going to go ahead and take Miles Sanders. I'm only going to do 12 rounds for this because it's just not quite moving fast enough for me. Let's see here. It's starting to move a little bit. Njoku's off the board. I do like Njoku, but same thing, a lot of mouths to feed there. Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, we got some quarterbacks falling off the board now. Wow, really? Carson Wentz went ahead of, okay, maybe not. I thought Russell Wilson was still on that board, and Matt Ryan. All right, Royce Freeman, Carl Hyde, LaShawn McCoy, very well. A guy who could be a starting running back. I know he's a little bit old in the tooth, but in the 8th round, I love that, especially with what's left. Who is a starting running back here? I don't know. I don't see one. I don't see a clear-cut one anyway. I'm sure there's plenty that will be starters by the end of the year here. But now we have 1, 2, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 4 running backs. We're going to go ahead and take a break from the running backs here at this point. I'm going to start looking back at my wide receivers. Like I said, there's a lot of guys in this area. I really like Courtland Sutton this year. I think he's got some guys out of his way. Nick Foles, just to throw it out there, Nick Foles very well could be a sneaky fantasy quarterback or really NFL quarterback, but somebody's going to have to get some kind of play off him. And I think he likes to float the ball up there and let his guy go get it. And I think Dede Westbrook is one of those guys. Devin Funchess is another receiver that I really, really love here in later rounds. Marquise Goodwin still in San Francisco. Dante Pettis, I don't know if he's still on the board. It looks like he must be picked already. In the running back position, Austin Eckler is still there, who I actually really like Austin Eckler. Melvin Gordon is a little sketchy with the injury, but not really an injury concern type of guy. But man, a really great handcuff. But we do have 4 running backs, and it's time to kind of pay back attention to our receivers. So looking at our all list here, I do always like to just kind of check the overall value. And okay, well, we could potentially lose our chance at Sutton. So let's just go ahead and draft him now. So I'm really high on him. All right, and we're starting to back up our wide receivers now. Corey Davis, I don't know how you guys feel about Corey Davis. I hate that pick. I don't like that pick at all. He had a ton of targets last year and did nothing with them compared to the other running back or quarterbacks. All right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead with my quarterback here. I'm probably going to back him up with somebody else. But for now, since he seems to be going a little bit early, but I drafted Pat Mahomes last year in the 10th round, and call me crazy, but I think it worked out pretty well. Now, I know that I just made a comment earlier about him not having an offensive line, but I think he's going to have to air that ball out like crazy, and he is going to get a ton of yards on the ground. He very well could be the next Russell Wilson type player. I think they're going to use him fairly well in that system over there. They like to do the air raid. They got all the receivers for him. Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, Humphreys. They got a lot of guys over there. They're slowly going to build that system. All right, let's do a couple more here. Anthony Miller, another sleeper from Chicago there. If you guys are looking for some deep around guys. Don't like Demaryius Thomas personally, but Marquise Lee, let's not forget about him. Randall Cobb from Dallas, he's going to be a PPR diamond in the rough. Cole Beasley in Buffalo. I think Josh Allen, just like last year, may be throwing the ball a lot. So why not go ahead and grab a quick target that can get open and get quick separation right off the line when a play breaks down immediately, which it's probably going to do there. All right, let's go ahead with our running backs. Oh, Doug Martin, no, thank you. Let's go with Matt Breida. I like Matt Breida. Oh, no. It decided I'm getting the Cleveland defense. So we're just going to go ahead and end it on there. Appreciate you guys checking out my draft. Looking forward to your comments and feeding back off you guys. Have a great night.